Zat Hashem, starting today in Pirkei Avot, Perek Vav, Mishnah Zayin. Vav Zayin. Mishnah here talks about how Torah doesn't only give us life in Olam Haba. That's natural. Meaning we know that Torah, we learn Torah, and it gives us sechar in the next world. It gives us life in the next world. But in addition, the Torah gives us life in this world. I don't know what that means exactly, but let's see. Gedolat Torah, greatest Torah, shehi notenet chayim leoseha. It gives life to those who perform it, who study it, who fulfill it. Ba'olam hazeh u'ba'olam haba. In this world and in the next world. So somebody that fulfills Torah, he learns it and he performs it. He not only gets life in the next world, which we all know, schar is in the next world, but he even gets sechar in this world. He gets rewarded. Now, what does that mean? What's the pshat in that? So the Tiferet Yisrael explains that there are certain things that a person could acquire in this world without necessarily learning Torah. You make money, you put effort into certain things, you could do them. But the ultimate reward of a good life, this world and in the next world, is only through studying and performing Torah. There's people that don't seem to do that. What do you say?
No, I don't know, if maybe I asked you before, I'm so sorry. But what it means to toil in Torah?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Walk into a yeshiva and look what these guys are doing. When Torah is the primary focus, Torah becomes your whole day. Meaning that you look at the focus of Torah over everything else. The money.
Yeah, because
right?
It's connected a little bit.
Right. Everything else takes second class regard to the Torah.
It's your purpose.
Exactly. The purpose, the focus, exactly. So let's see. Shnei Amar, the pasuk tells us in Mishlei. This is a pasuk. Rashi says, Kahati learns. Kahati learns that this pasuk teaches us in this world. Ki chayim heim lemotzeihem. They are life for those who find them. Ulechol bisaro marpeh. Marpeh is lashon refuah. For all of his flesh, it will heal. So the Kahati here explains, based on the Gemara, what the pasuk telling us is that in this world, meaning chayei ba'olam hazeh, this is life in this world, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give such a person life in this world. Very interesting. He quotes, Amen. The Gemara in Eruvin tells us like this. Generally, very interesting. You know, medications. If a person takes medication and they're not supposed to take medication, what happens? Chas v'shalom, it has a bad effect. Medication. Oh, bichlal. If somebody takes medication and they're not supposed to take medication, it would hurt somebody. So in this world, that's why the Gemara in Eruvin explains. What does it mean it's good for a person in this world? Medication is good for someone who's sick, but it's not good for someone who's healthy. But he says the Torah is like the medication that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives everyone, and it's good for everyone. It's not good for some people and not good for others. But the Torah is like a medication that's healthy for everyone, and not only healthy, but necessary for everyone also. As he says, Lo k'midat HaKadosh Baruch Hu midat this world, and he gets a difference like that. This means it's good for a person in this world. Ve'omer, and furthermore, the pasuk tells us also in Mishlei, it says, Rif'ut tehi l'sharecha. And these are hard words to translate, but what does it mean? It is a healing l'sharecha. Sharecha, do you know what that means, Yosef? I wonder if you know what this means. L'sharecha.
In your gate.
No, it's not sharech with an ayin. Sha'ar. Sharecha means your navel, belly button. Sharecha is a belly button.
What is
it's interesting. That's what they Sharecha means belly button. It is a healing for your belly button. V'shikoi la'atzmotecha. Shikoi is marrow. Marrow for your bones. You know, inside of bones, there's marrow. Marrow is like the filling. Marrow, it's lahavdil. I mean, to make a distinction.
Something good for your bones.
Something healthy, exactly. So the Torah, exactly. That's a good way to say. It gives energy. It's an easy way to say. You got it, Yosef. That's Chayei Olam Haba. In Olam Haba, the Torah is going to provide us with energy, with life in the next world. It also acts like that. Omer, and furthermore, pasuk tells us also in Mishlei. It says, "It's chayim hila machazikim ba." It is a tree of life for those who grab it. V'tomchea meushar, and those who support it, meushar, they'll be praised, they'll be benefited. So the Braita explains in Masechet Ta'anit, actually what you were touching on. Anybody that's involved in Torah Lishma, his Torah becomes a life-giving energy for him. It gives him energy, it gives him life in this world and the next world. It's chayim hila machazikiba. It's a tree of life. Learning Torah is not something just done out in the world. It actually provides real benefit in a very real way in this world as well. Omer, and furthermore, the pasuk tells us in Mishlei, it says, "Ki leviat chen hem l'roshecha," and the accompanying of grace it is for your head. Va'anakim legargarotecha, and it is a necklace for your neck, for your neck. So the Gemara explains that Torah is acquired in two ways. Chazal explained like this. There's two ways that a person engages in Torah that are both necessary. There's iyun and there's dibur. What does it mean? It means one step of learning Torah is, iyun is analysis. Right? It's the brain activity, l'roshecha. It's what goes on in your head, the process of study, the question, the answer, the proof, the refutation, the kasha, the teretz, right? Like we learn Gemara, that's the iyun, we get involved. But there's also a second element, which is legargarotecha, the dibur associated with it. And the way the Tiferet Yisrael explains is like this. People who really learn Torah and they have a clarity in their head, the iyun, but they also speak the words of Torah with clarity so that other people can benefit. So they give people like that kavod because of the chokhmah they have in their head, and they also give them kavod for the words that they say that are clear and organized. So it's two elements of Torah that are both necessary to really achieve greatness in Torah. Very interesting idea. And you, by the way, you also find this sometimes. You have somebody, he has great analysis, but he can't verbalize what he studied. He can't say it over. You don't really understand what he's talking about. And the opposite, you have somebody that's great at explaining things, but he doesn't have clarity on topics. So in Torah, we need both. There's a Shiva, Rabbi Zweig, Shlita. He always used to say that if you learn something and you can't explain it, I forget if he said to a fourth grader, but to a kid, if you can't explain it to a kid, you don't really understand it properly. Meaning if you want to determine, did I really understand this shiur, did I really understand the sugya, you have to be able to break it down into simple terminology. If you can't break it down to a kid, to explain it to a kid, you probably don't have it as clear as you possibly could. By the way, there are sugyot that are more complicated than others, but if we really understand something...
Even that tefillah, a lot of things that we don't understand. Every word, these, that.
Right, and that's okay, by the way. We don't have to understand everything, but if you really want to know you mastered information, you have to be able to verbalize that to a simple person. That's the degree of mastery. Let's continue. V'omer, and furthermore, the pasuk tells us also in Mishlei, it says, Titein l'roshcha leviat chen, it gives for your head a accompanying of grace, ateret tiferet timagneka, and it acts as a crown of glory. Let me see how I translate it here. A crown of glory, of splendor upon you. Splendor upon you. And I translated over here, timagneka. Will act as a crown of glory. What does that mean? Oh, so the Kahati here explains, this is also a reference to the double format, which is that there's schar in this world and the next world. The Gemara tells us, in the next world, what is the reward for tzaddikim? Yoshvin v'atrotein b'rosheim v'nehenim miziv hashchina. It's a reference to a crown. The tzaddikim in the next world, they sit and they benefit from the shechina, which is something that it's a little bit difficult to relate to in a very practical, physical sense, but that is their reward in the next world. And they wear crowns on their head. By Har Sinai, actually, the Jews were given crowns. After Egel HaZahav, they lost those crowns. But in the next world, there's crowns. Symbolism is, we'll talk about that at a different time. But Omer, and furthermore, the Pasuk tells us, Orech Yamim b'Yamina, long life in his right hand, or in its right hand, Bismola Asher v'Chavod, in his left hand is wealth and honor. So the Gemara explains like this. Somebody that learns Torah Lishma, with love, so he gets Arichut Yamim, long life, and certainly he gets Osher v'Kavod. He gets all of the benefits in this world. Bismola, the leftists, what does that refer to? Somebody that learns Torah Shelo Lishma. Now, it's not a terrible thing, but it's not ideal. So he gets Osher v'Kavod. It's true, he gets wealth, and he gets honor, but he won't get Arichut Yamim. If you want Arichut Yamim, it's kedai to learn Torah Lishma, for the sake of Hashem, not for other benefits. Omer, and finally we'll finish off with this pasuk. It says, Ki orech yamim ushnot chayim shalom yosifu lach. Long life and years, B'shnot chayim, and years of life is shalom and peace. Yosifu lach, Hashem will add on, will give you extra. Meaning to say is, maybe you'll get all of these brachot, Rashi explains, but maybe you won't end up having shalom. We've spoken about this before. Problem is, very often, if people get all kinds of blessings, especially wealth, by the way, this is a particular issue, then they don't have any shalom. The moment you start getting all of those brachot, wealth and honor, and suddenly then there's machloket, you can't get along, there's dispute, there's discord. So the teretz is, the answer to that is vishalom. Even though Hashem will give you all of those brachot, He'll also give you the thing that contains all of that in the best way, which is shalom. Because you could have all the brachot in the world, but if you don't have shalom, so you're constantly nervous, you're constantly anxious, you don't feel good about it. Shalom is absolutely necessary in this regard so that you can enjoy all of those blessings in the most wonderful possible way. Yeah. Chevra, we'll stop here. We'll pick up with Mishnah Chet next week, God willing.
Why?
Yeah.
Why Hashem wants us to learn Torah?
Yeah.
If He wants us to pray, we could understand.
Why does He want you to pray?
I want to thank Him.
Yom Tov Eliezer.
You learn to say thank you to somebody and give you something.
Okay.
Everything.
Okay.
So we learn out of that to be appreciated.
Okay. I could hear that. Okay.
That's the prayer I could understand.
So say the same thing about Torah then.
Why? What's Torah?
That when you learn Torah, you learn the way of life. Literally, derech hachayim. It teaches you everything there is to know about life.
But it's like Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam.
It's true.
So much about Torah.
It's true.
Why? Okay,
Exactly like you just said. Exactly like you just said.
I don't